The final whistle has blown at the London Olympic Stadium. It's finished West Ham United 0, Everton 1. West Ham's chances of qualifying for the Champions League have taken a major blow here this afternoon as Dominic Calvert-Lewin's first half goal was enough to secure all 3 points for the visitors. West Ham way below par this afternoon. Didn't manage a single shot on target in the entire match. Everton, to their credit, well drilled, scored the goal, sat back, soaked up the pressure, made sure West Ham never really had a clear-cut opportunity. And you'd have to say, Gnome, that looks like curtains now for West Ham's Champions League's hopes. Or is it?
You're talking to the wrong person about that, because out of the four of us every week, I'm the one who steadfastly refused to comment on Champions League. I haven't really looked into what needs to happen. I don't know. I just say each game as it comes. That was one that I thought was winnable. We've got 3 games left, all 3 of which are winnable. Where will that get us? I don't know. Just see how high it gets us. What I would say is that, despite what the comments yesterday about it being a bitter blow to their Champions League hopes, at least West Ham have had Champions League hopes this year, unlike Tottenham, really. So, they're just showing the table now, and our next target is Leicester, obviously. They're the ones we've got to try and overhaul next to try and push ourselves up the table. I think it's cup final next weekend, isn't it?
Is it next weekend?
Yeah. So, a win for us next weekend, over the weekend, will push us up a little bit closer to them. And just keep going. Just keep going. Whatever happens, we had a hell of a season, which has been thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Although probably not if you're watching us for, but it's let's just keep going. See what we get. We'll suck it today. We'll suck it today. Well, whatever happens, I think we're in for some form of European place, aren't we? I think.
Well, you'd hope so, yeah.
Yeah, looking at that, I'm so confused with how the qualifications work. What with English clubs being in the so-called Champions League final, and then Liverpool being given a get-out-of-jail-free card because we're Liverpool. They'll go into the Champions League if they don't make it. If they don't make it through genuine means, and so who knows who qualifies for what? I don't.
Okay, well, time will tell. As you said, there are 3 more games to go this season. We'll certainly have to rack up a few more points if we're going to be in the picture anyway. But Pinky, West Ham United 0, Everton 1. Disappointing, hugely disappointing from a West Ham perspective. Last week, you felt that this would be one of the games we would win. It hasn't turned out that way, unfortunately. And to be fair, we were never really in the races today, were we? As I said on full time, not a single shot on goal. Just not good enough at at this level. Shot on target. Sorry.
We've run out of bodies at the wrong time of the year. You take the goal we conceded. Declan Rice said on that field this afternoon, that pass from Godfrey doesn't reach Calvert-Lewin. It's that simple, really. So the snoozing by Dawson doesn't matter in that sense.
Yeah.
Rice on the field, the ball doesn't reach the striker. Yeah. But there's no Declan Rice because he gets injured on England duty, effectively. So, you then say, well, who comes in to replace him? And we're found short. Mark Noble's came in to start with, played very well indeed. Then Mark Noble, at the age of 34 now, he's currently injured. So you then move to Lanzini in that position, and then we saw Lanzini go off today. So we've just run out of bodies, and it's a sign that the squad hasn't really had the depth needed to compete at the right end of the table, which is a real shame. In terms of our attacking intent today, there's no shortage of work rate. The players all ran hard. They ran around and did what they could, but it just seemed to me that it was not quite aimless cross after aimless cross, but it was ineffective cross after ineffective cross, whereby, you know, our player wasn't getting on the end of it, and we weren't working the keeper at any stage. The one golden opportunity we had in the game fell to a player who, you know, as Rio pointed out, isn't known for his heading prowess. And I just kind of felt that was the moment when a little bit of the belief slipped away from us, whereby, because it's all about moments, and you know, Ben Rama will be having nightmares about that for months to come, because ultimately you go in at half time 1-1, it's a different game in the second half. The fact that we gave Everton something to hang on to, and you know, where the Everton supporters are saying, how's he missed that?
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of told me, you know, they've just shut up shop in the second half, never really looked interested. And you know, I think, you know, one of the good things from this afternoon, I think we might hear rather less from our own support about, well, we need to have more of the ball, because actually we had plenty of the ball today.
We did.
And all we saw today was we didn't have the spark, the creativity, the subtlety to actually break down an Everton defence that was basically 9 men behind the ball from the moment they got their goal. And you know, we weren't trying to tease them out at all, because I don't think we were confident enough to actually play that kind of game. And yeah, they were comfortable all afternoon, Everton. You know, if truth be told, we never looked like scoring, and they just about deserved the points, because I think on the day their game plan was better than ours, and they had the players capable of executing it. Simple as.
Yeah, it's a good point. And actually, just looking back at the stats, I mean, in a sense, you could say that we were, you know, Everton really performed or provided the sort of performance that we've given so often this season. Let the other team control possession, give them the ball and say, come and break us down. And, you know, this is exactly where West Ham have been winning so many points. 69% possession, that's how it stayed at the end to West Ham, 31% to Everton. West Ham, 11 shots at goal, none on target, not a single effort on target. Everton, 9 shots, 3 on target. And of course, the only goal of the game for Calvert-Lewin. Before I go to Rio for his thoughts, I just want to say I'm going to change it a little bit this afternoon for the post-match discussion. If anyone's got any questions that they would like to put to us, the panel, the 4 of us here, please just drop it in the YouTube chat, and I'll pick up on those, and I'll put your questions to the team. So yeah, once again, if anyone's got any questions for Pinky, for Rio, for Gnome, just drop it in the YouTube chat, and we'll go through those. Anything you'd like to ask can be about today's game, can be about the rest of the season, anything to do with West Ham, really. But yeah, let us know if you've got any questions, and just drop them in the chat there. Rio, Pinky made the point there that you know, Everton let West Ham have the ball. Not entirely comfortable with that, are we? We've seen that. We saw it at Newcastle recently. They too were quite happy to let us, you know, control the ball and keep possession and make us ask the questions, instead of West Ham sort of sitting back and countering. Jesse Lingard, shadow of himself really today, a player that thrives in that sort of environment, didn't really do anything today. The frustration was telling, wasn't it? We saw him get booked for dissent in the second half. But what's your verdict on that game today? Where did it go wrong for West Ham?
I think Pinky's already summed it up quite well, as of yourself. When we're forced to take the game to other teams, when we're forced to make intelligent decisions, try and break teams down, we find it incredibly hard. And when we haven't got the luxury of a set-piece goal, because they have dried up completely of late, that was our outlet to kind of initialise any kind of breakdown. Once you get that kind of goal, it opens the game up a little bit more. Now that's disappeared, and teams who come to defend and say, you ask the questions, we don't have the answers. We haven't got that creative spark in the middle who can open up defences with a telling pass, a little bit of creativity, a little bit of intelligence. Mm-hmm. It's all rather one-dimensional, and that's where we're lacking. You hire that kind of player, they're once in a generation, they're mavericks, they're the ones that, when you have them, you cherish them, because they bring an absolute different aura to the game and open up games, and it's a joy to watch. We don't necessarily need another Payet, but we need someone who is intelligent enough to take the game and manage it so well that you can actually break down teams in different aspects, you know?
Yeah.
We need the cheaper version of Payet in some way. We need that little, dare I say it, we need a James Maddison style player. We need a Greedy style player. Someone who can just look up, find those gaps that we really struggle to do at the moment. Jesse Lingard's been thriving since he joined us, but when the game gets squeezed and we haven't got anyone to kind of get him into the game by putting the balls through for him to run on, or have something to counter, because Everton, another one of those sides, like we struggle to break down Aston Villa at home, we struggle to break down Fulham at home and Fulham away. When teams sit deep and they invite us on, it nullifies our whole attacking outlet, and we just don't have the capability of dealing with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, talking about Lingard, that's 3 games now. Scored 4 goals in 3 games, and then now had a little bit of a dry spell. No goal in 3 games, a blank against Chelsea and Burnley, and again here today. But no, without Jesse Lingard, you know, it's probably fair to say that a little bit too much attention has been placed on him since he came to West Ham. And, you know, you kind of get the feeling that from some sections of the media, from the press, that the reason we've been doing so well is purely down to Lingard in much the same way, in some respects, as was the case when Tevez was here, you know, in that final run-in. And obviously we all know what happened there. Not the first 21 games he was at West Ham, of course, I hasten to add, because he didn't score. But
yeah,
when Lingard's not firing, did you feel that this current West Ham team are, you know, struggling a little bit?
I think, yeah, but not quite for that reason.
Okay.
It's a little bit more in recent weeks, because of the fact that we've had you know, the various injuries. Noble came in to replace Rice, and now Noble's injured, so he's been forced in recent weeks into a slightly different role.
Yeah,
and which he needs to restrain. Because of that, he's in a position where he needs to be a little bit more restrained, play with a little less freedom than he was. I mean, yeah, away at Villa, his first game, he was all over the pitch and was, you know, basically give the ball to him and see what he could do. Because of the personnel changes, then he's not been able to play with that freedom, and consequently, his, you know, if you're looking at pure goal scoring stats, well, they are going to tail off a bit. I mean, they're going to tail off a bit anyway, because, yeah, scoring an average of a goal a game and all that, nobody's going to keep that up all season anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it's a case of you know, we're saying we're not creative enough and all that. Who are the creative players who we've got in the squad at the moment? And you know, we've seen that we know what Lanzini can do, or the Lanzini of the past can do. So what happens? Lanzini's injured. You know, it's and that's the big concern I've got on this, because he's been good. He was good, superb earlier on this week, and threadbare squad, as we've said on here a million one times. And what little creativity we've got is it's going to be sitting there with somebody plastering gel and an ultrasound over his hamstring for the next couple of weeks. You know, I doubt. Well, it remains to be seen how bad it is, but I suspect we may have seen the last of Lanzini this season, for example. Declan's a week closer to a return, which is good news. I mean, he's not that sort of creative player, but it means you'll get players playing a little bit more in their normal positions, because, you know, we've had Lanzini and then Natalie Fornals dropping into that middle position today. Well, Rice comes back. You've got Rice and Souček, the sort of golden pair in there. then Fornals can be looked on as more of an attacking force. So as one goes out, one comes in. That would be a help. But as I say, we saw the last 20 minutes. We had Soufal playing on the left and Fredericks on the right, and we saw from that Soufal shot towards the end. We were saying he should shoot more often, and he hit the post. And then we saw that one towards the end. I'm thinking maybe he shouldn't, but it's disappointing. We do lack creativity because we lack numbers.
Well, one thing we're also lacking at the moment is points on the table, because looking at our recent results, that's 3 defeats in our last 4 games now. Pinky lost at Newcastle, of course, beaten by Chelsea, managed to win up at Burnley, but defeat against Everton again today. It's relegation form, isn't it, in one sense? But I'm guessing you're going to say that this comes back to what you've been saying anyway for a long time, is that we've just simply run out of bodies. We've got to the stage of the season, and we've made this point time and time again throughout the season, especially in January at the end of the transfer window, that at some point our luck's going to run out. We were very fortunate in terms of the number of injuries in the first half of the season, but it all started with Antonio, didn't it? And then we saw a succession of injuries: Angelo Ogbonna, Declan Rice, Masuaku, of course, has been missing for at least half the season, and it's just killed us, hasn't it?
It's made it very difficult. I'm not completely giving up hope, because none of us know who could be back next week. And we don't know the state of some of the other teams' squads at this point in time. But it's certainly made it harder than it needs to be. And I made the comment earlier, Everton don't get that goal today if Declan Rice is on the pitch, because you've seen Lanzini when Godfrey played the ball through. I reckon Rice would have actually been shutting Godfrey down at that point. And Godfrey, he looks up and sees Declan Rice running at him. He's not as composed on the ball as he is when Manuel Lanzini's standing 5 or 6 yards off him. So that's one clear-cut example. Ogbonna been our best defender now for a couple of seasons.
Yeah,
we've played far too many games recently without him. And again, who knew that a 33-year-old centre-back is going to get injured? Who could possibly forecast that? Similarly, what is now a 34-year-old central midfielder in Mark Noble? Who could possibly forecast that a player is going to get injured at that age and take longer to recover? So all of these things are utterly predictable. The chairman, of course, will say, well, look, I know that as well, but the problem is I haven't got the money, and which is a fair point until we point to the elephant in the room, which is the 30 million quid that allegedly has been spent on Said Benrahma, who has made relatively little impact. And it's unfortunate for him as a player, because today I don't think he did enough. And I don't think he did enough today, because I think he was playing opponents that worked a bit harder and actually, gave him less time on the ball. I think he did some things okay today, but the performance against Burnley, I think, was kind of a false performance because of the way Burnley were playing. The performance against Everton, well, that's what you're going to be up against most weeks in this division. And for the money we've spent on him, he hasn't done enough. On the positive front today, I thought Issa Diop did much, much better today. So quite happy with what I saw there. But overall, it's just this lack of bodies. I mean, Rio's touched on it. Set piece goals have dried up.
Yes.
Yeah, because when you've actually only got Souček as the threat there, as opposed to 2 players maybe marking Declan Rice to create the space for Souček, then or Ogbonna to create the space for Souček, that's why your set piece goals dry up, because they don't have to put men marking other fairly big players. So undoubtedly, we've run out of bodies, we're running out of legs. I think David Moyes has done an outstanding job in terms of managing the squad to try and keep them fresh. I don't think the likes of Bowen have actually been dropped. I think they're legitimately being rested because, again, they've all got these GPS vests on that they wear. The technical staff at the club, they will know when players are tired, and they monitor everything on these players, and they'll be looking at the likes of Gerard Bowen and going, Mr. Moyes, if you play him for 90 minutes after 70, he's going to run the risk of injury. And we can tell you that now, because here's all his stats. When he gets tired in a game, and when you get tired, that's when you get the muscle injuries. So they're all kind of like slots together. Too small a squad of the right caliber, too many injuries coming because you're overplaying players. Rice has played 100 matches near as damn it without missing a minute.
Yep.
I mean, he's good, but he's not Superman. So it's hard now. Everton have done the job on us today. I mean, I said it in commentary. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Everton supporters will want to watch that every week. And maybe that's Ancelotti going, well, there's no one in our stadium watching us, and to play like this away from home is quite normal, but you're looking at that going, it's pretty ugly. The one bit of really good play from their team today, I thought, was Calvert-Lewin. He genuinely looks like a good striker. Yeah. For my money, he's banged in 16 goals this season for them. And where's our 16-goal season striker? And we keep coming back to it. David Moyes is having to deal with the sins committed by certainly Pellegrini to some extent. Although, for my money today, I think our best player today was a Pellegrini signing in Pablo Fornals. He played a peach of a pass to Soufal when Soufal hit the post. Yeah. And, again, without wishing to really get stuck into Benrahma too much, Benrahma watches the game when he gets in tonight, with his kebab or whatever he has for his post-match meal, and he'll sit there and he wanders the tape. That decision by Fornals to release Soufal there, that one pass, that's the standard. And we saw some good things from Said today, some challenges, but for 30 million quid, did he ever look like unlocking the Everton defence? No.
Well, I mean, I guess the question is, does he ever look like unlocking anyone's defence? I mean, he played very well against Burnley, of course, last week, but, we sit here continuously, don't we, week in, week out, saying, well, we expect a little bit more, he needs to make the right choice or better choices in certain situations, and it's just not coming off. And of course, when the club is bereft of transfer funds as it is currently, I guess when we look back at this season, you're going to be looking at the funding of that particular transfer, and as you say, it's cost the club £30 million, and it just makes you wonder. Perhaps an Ivan Toney even, or a dedicated striker, someone like that might have been a better choice, or even a couple of players to fill the squad out a little bit.
I maintain the issue there was to shift Seb Haller. The price we paid was we had to bring in Benrahma. And I think, again, we've got the agent's involvement in the background, and it's kind of like, and I think I'm right in saying that Haller's joined the same agency now that a number of our players have, although interestingly, he wasn't with that agency when he was at West Ham. So I just wonder, what deal was offered to Haller to get him out of our club, and what deal did the chairman do with an agent to make that happen, and therefore effectively brought Benrahma into the club? We all assume against the manager's wishes, because the manager's looking at it going, look, if it's limited funds, you've got to let me decide where I'm spending it. Yeah. And we've now got talk of a manager. We're on the on the brink of potentially qualifying for the Champions League. Mm-hmm. And we're now reading press speculation that the manager's contract talks are on hold again. The chairman not sure what sort of income the club's going to have next year. And just at the wrong moment, we're getting some negativity around it. And it just comes back to the same thing time and time again. We haven't quite got the money to buy the players to allow us to compete at this stage.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, some rumours circulating about those contract talks. Of course, it was revealed earlier in the week that although David Moyes, of course, secured an additional year, there was a clause in his previous contract that was triggered in February to extend his stay by another year. Talks are on hold at the moment, but of course, it has been rumoured. There are noises coming out that it might not just be about finances. It might be a question of who has the final say on those particular transfers. We're hearing that as well from our sources at the club. That there might be more to that than just money. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But anyway, I did say earlier on that we'll be taking your questions, and there hasn't exactly been a deluge of questions for the boys, but there is one here anyway from Mark Richardson. Rio, I'll throw this to you as you're next up for chat. Before I do that though, Gnome, have we had anything from Mr. Moyes yet?
Not yet. No, they've just had Ancelotti on, which I didn't really pay any attention to. I was listening to Pinky, I'll be honest, but I was going to wait for a transcript for Ancelotti, but still waiting for Moyes at the moment. So I'll wave at you when he comes up.
Give me the signal when he comes on. Rio, Mark Richardson says, it's a point I think Pinky was actually talking about earlier. He says, does that Everton side remind you of watching Sam Allardyce's West Ham when we had Sacco and Valencia up front? What do you think of that? Any? We're on. Moyes is on. We'll come back to that in a minute, but we'll go over to Rio first for that question from Mark Richardson. Any similarities there?
Not for me, because I actually thought under Allardyce we played some attractive football at times. And what we saw from Everton today was Tony Pulis-esque, not Allardyce-esque. It was a complete dogs of war, backs to the wall. You break us down, otherwise we ain't got no interest in anything else.
Yeah.
That Sacco and Valencia season, it was quite entertaining at times. I thoroughly enjoyed watching us.
Yeah.
And almost sparked into the top four that season at one point, up until Christmas when the wheels come off and the transfer funds dried up. That's the biggest similarity between it.
It's an interesting
but
one,
not the Everton side.
That kind of wrote the Allardyce thread came alive again, or the talk of Allardyce came alive this week on the forum, and yet again I found myself unwittingly defending Sam Allardyce's reign at West Ham. People were saying how dull and dreary his entire spell was, and I was kind of moved to point out that Allardyce, albeit in the Championship, broke the club record for number of away wins in the season, that year when we won 13 or 14 games, whatever it was. And of course, we certainly had our moments, didn't we, under Allardyce? And Sacco, great season. Valencia, of course, had his moments. Was it Harley scored that incredible goal with no backlift from the edge of the box, where he kind of just and just launched a rocket? But there were some good moments, weren't there? It certainly wasn't all entirely attritional, but I guess you can see some similarities there with that. And Pinky, of course, made the point that Everton fans have been saying that there's not much difference between watching the Ancelotti team in comparison to Allardyce's time there. But at the end of the day, they've got the 3 points today, and they're going to be the happier of the squads anyway, the clubs, and maybe not the supporters. Everton, I guess, like West Ham, demand a little bit more from their teams than just results. They want to be entertained, of course. One man who certainly wasn't entertained this afternoon is David Moyes. I'm not sure if Gnome has finished. I think he's still watching it there because he hasn't given me the signal. So we'll come back to Gnome again in just a minute. But I'll throw that one over to Pinky. Of course, if anyone's got any questions for the team, post them on YouTube chat. We'll take them before the end of the stream. Any questions for Pinky, for Rio, for Gnome, or for all of us, just fire your questions in. As I say, it can be about today's game, about West Ham in general, anything to do with the site or whatever. But if you've got any questions for us, just fire them in there now, like on the YouTube chat. Pinky, what's your view on that one, the Allardyce comment? As I said, Mark Richards asked, does that Everton side remind you of watching Big Sam's West Ham when we had Sacco and Valencia up front?
I think it reminds me of the sort of the reputation that Big Sam's side would have had, which you know, in the time Sam was at West Ham, we saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, we saw everything, and we weren't ugly every week, and we weren't good every week. You know, my personal bugbear was the 4-0 away at Watford in the Championship, I think it was, where we went a goal up early doors, and I saw Allardyce turn, I think it was Jack Collison, and say, right, just tuck in now. You know, and I'm thinking, please, you know, do we have to do that? You know, but like every other manager, he's only interested in winning games of football. And Carlo Ancelotti there today, he'll be there. He'll go to his chairman on Monday and go, I don't really care what the supporters think.
Yeah.
We won away again against a team who were higher up the league table than us. Tell me why that's bad football. That's what the professionals are going to say. They're going to say, tell me why that's bad football to beat a team further up the table than you away from home. You know, and if England won the World Cup playing like that, there isn't a football supporter in the country who'd be sat here going, not really very good, that, you know, it's not really what you're up. So I kind of get why managers do it. And yeah, I wouldn't want to watch it every single week. But today, what Everton did was a thoroughly professional job. And you know, they've got the relatively early goal. And then they've just said, come and break us down. And we can all say, yeah, it was Sunday league football and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah, the opinions on grand old team, the first 20 minutes, Seamus Coleman was the devil incarnate. For the last 20 minutes, he was the best fullback they've ever seen. You know, and there was a moment 10, 15 minutes before the end of the game when Jesse Lingard had the ball and Coleman was shunting him down the line, just forcing him back towards our goal, giving him absolutely nothing. And I will tell you something, Carlo Ancelotti would have gone into that dressing room, got hold of Seamus Coleman and said, you absolute double mustard superstar, because that's how you win games of football in this division. And that's the name of the game, is winning games of football. And Seamus Coleman this afternoon, the Everton skipper, gave a captain's performance there in the second half. And I think what we lacked a little bit today was that proper on-pitch leadership in terms of we've got to do something a bit different here today. And again, the same old things, you know, whether Rice is missing or Noble's missing, the two sort of regular skippers, they're not there. Aaron's fine. He goes off injured. And then you've got Ryan Fredericks putting on the skipper's armband. Do me a favour. Yeah. Who's going to listen to him? You know, it's like, you only get a game if we've got 30 players in pitch. Yeah. So it's that. So I think Ancelotti's done some professional there. He would argue he's without his sort of star player. But I think that's about the only one they were missing today. You know, but if he gets into Europe with that, I don't think you'll find too many Everton fans complaining. That's for sure. And if we miss out on Europe, you know, we'll be looking at that going, maybe if we had a little bit more pragmatism about what we're doing, we might have just got over the line. So for me, you know, we all know the style of football that the question referred to. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's awful. But today for Everton, it was crucial because that got them 3 points and we've got nothing. So tell me why their football was bad.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. It's a good argument you make. But someone who is going to be particularly disappointed with the way his team played is David Moyes. He's seen his West Ham side beaten by his former club Everton in what was maybe not a must-win game, but probably a must-not-lose if West Ham's Champions League hopes were to be carried into the next or the final three fixtures. He's been talking to Sky Sports about the game. Gnome has been tuning in and listening intently to what was being said, and he's now going to regale us with the manager's comments. Gnome, what did Moyes have to say?
from what he said, he wasn't too disappointed with the way the team played. We kept possession well. The way he looked at it was that they needed. The comment was that we just needed something to fall for us in the box, and he said maybe on occasions this season, those things that have fallen for us nicely in the box have done so, but we didn't get it. We got really nothing. We had no breaks today. We mentioned earlier on the Soufal effort that hit the post, and just aside from that, we thought Bowen might have been given offside. I've just had a look at it, and I don't think he would.
Okay.
Playing near the camera that probably had a good foot on him, and when the ball came back off the post, Bowen was actually in mid-air, having sort of jumped over the body of Pickford. And Moyes it was pointed out to Moyes, and he said, another day Bowen can actually get a little bit more on that.
Yeah.
Another day Benrahma gets the header right. So he said, does that mean goodbye Champions League? And he said, well, we're just going to go as keep going as high as we can. He said, it's likely to be European football. It was pointed out to him, and he said, well, we keep aiming for the stars. He said, yes, I'm very disappointed today with the result, but overall, he says the comment he made was, he says, I don't think the players have overachieved. A lot of people are saying that, but he says, I know these players, and I think that they're capable of more. And he did give Everton credit, well, when prompted to, anyway. The comment was, the Everton credit. He said, "Oh yes, they made it incredibly difficult for us. They got players behind the ball, and and he repeated that we just needed something to fall for us in the box, and it just didn't happen."
Yeah.
I've also got the transcript that's just come up of Ancelotti's comments.
Okay.
I'll just scan through those quickly. We defended well. It wasn't easy, but we covered the spaces in between well, and we tried to play on the counter attack. Second half, we could have done better, but it didn't matter in the end. All the times we've won away, we've done so with this kind of performance. And with this, we've won 11 away games, which is a lot. We knew it was a vital game because if we lost, we were out of European contention. No doubt because West Ham would go up. So it was vital. We're still in the fight. I'm not concerned about possession West Ham had, because possession doesn't mean you score goals. We're not a possession team because we have different qualities. The correlation between possession and victory is not for football. It's for another sport. We knew this was a vital game. We've got another one on Thursday night against Villa. We have to be ready. The attitude is the base of this team, and without that attitude, we're dead. So that was Ancelotti's comment. Moyes is saying, it was a game of few chances. He said, I don't think they had much in the way of chances, really, which is a fair comment. But, so bemoaning his luck a little bit.
Was there anything specific on Benrahma? I know he touched on it there, but was he pushed to talk about that chance?
Not really. It was noticeable during midweek or Monday, whenever it was when we last did this. His comments on Benrahma were, he acknowledged he played well, but he said he said we do need that consistency from him. But he didn't comment on any particular players. He did comment that we gave the goal away a little bit without singling out anybody like Dawson, for example, like we have. But there was no real sort of. I think he was more content to praise the players for the season as a whole, rather than sort of pick on this game in particular where things didn't go for us. Okay. And as I say, the telling comment was that some say that they've overachieved. He said, but I don't think they have. I think we can get more out of them. So give you his attitude there.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you, Gnome, for keeping an ear out for those. Another question that I want to put round the table right now. This one coming in from Hobo Changba. Hobo's saying that asking, did anyone feel disappointed when Ancelotti went to Everton and we re-signed Moyes? when was it? A year and a half ago now. It's fairly sure there were rumblings on the forum to that effect. But no, I'll throw that one over to you first of all. Were you disappointed that we didn't manage to grab Ancelotti?
Sorry, I just slightly put off by a lovely message that came across my screen in front of me there, so which kind of puts you off. I'll admit that I was disappointed when Moyes arrived both times, and okay, the first season he kind of got did enough to keep us up. Got a little bit stiff by the management. And I said right at the time it might be interesting because I think all of us said at that point that it might be interesting to see what we'd get if we actually had a team that Moyes could build.
Yeah.
And of course, the first season he was there till it was just a short-term deal anyway, and off he went. And he came in last season again having to rebuild with somebody else's tools. So what I've seen this season, hands up, we played some great football at times, and hands up, he's proved me wrong, and and I've never had any sort of personal gripe against him. I've sat in press conferences when we were allowed in, and he strikes me as a good, honest, honest, respectable, decent bloke. Just at times, what I've seen of him from teams in the past, I wasn't impressed with the style of football that some of his teams played. Now,
yeah,
as opposed to, was I disappointed that Ancelotti went up to Everton? I don't know, because my thinking was that we'd had Pellegrini and the big sort of foreign name signing. Ancelotti at the time, some of his team's stuff hadn't over-impressed me. I was maybe disappointed we haven't gone for somebody else, but one of the problems we had was who was available.
Yeah,
and it's all very well saying, I say, well, I'm disappointed we got Moyes in, but being pragmatic about it, who else was there? Bielsa was being touted around a year or two earlier, and and Pinky was mentioning that his Leeds team good to watch. He seems to have calmed down a bit, and because at the time when he was being touted about 2-3 years ago, when you looked at the sort of background, some of the stories that were coming out, I got a feeling it might have been a bit of a car crash at that time, especially the way the club was being run. Now, he seems to, as I say, sobered up a bit. No, sorry, I didn't mean to insert any. I didn't mean to suggest he's drunk. I mean, it's in terms of temperament rather than alcohol. Rescued that one there for you, Greg. But he seems to have simmered down a bit, sort of thing, and maybe sort of if we've been looking for a manager now, then yeah. But I'm quite happy with the job that Moyes has done, particularly this season. I mean, there've been times we've sitting there, I've been sitting there watching it, and you've seen me clap, genuinely sort of. Yeah. So I don't know about Ancelotti. Yeah, I was disappointed with Moyes. I was wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. I should just add that the views and the opinions expressed by our contributor are those of the highlighted contributor and do not necessarily represent or reflect the official policy or position of KUMB.com. Rio.
I would like to point out on behalf of both myself and KUMB.com that I did not mean to suggest it anyway. Shape or form. Enjoys a drink too much. I meant more of the temper.
It's been that sort of year, gentlemen, isn't it? And you'll know exactly what I mean.
Yeah. And I apologise if I implied otherwise.
Not at all. Not at all. We all knew what you meant. Just having a bit of fun, pulling your leg there, my friend.
Yeah, but
Rio,
as for that pisshead, insert name and manager.
Rio, the question from Hobo was about Ancelotti. Were you disappointed? Do you think he could have made a West Ham manager, or do you think it was another Sam Allardyce in the making, and one that would have, split the fan base in much the same way as Big Sam did?
I don't think it would have split the fan base because of his sheer reputation, his achievements in winning trophies domestically and in Europe. I think the fans would have welcomed him with open arms, because let's be honest, there's a lot of the younger generation of fans who are kind of swayed by bigger names rather than looking at the bigger picture. So I think Ancelotti, the calibre of his career, would have been welcomed. And on the face of it, David Moyes was a choice which didn't inspire anybody. He came here, he didn't fail the first time round. He did exactly what was asked of him, but he was rather curtly dismissed. And no one really said, oh, well, that's gutting. I wish we kept him. When we rehired him, everyone was equally disappointed, because he seemed like he was a busted flush as a manager. Yeah. He'd been at Manchester United in a thankless task of replacing Ferguson. No one was going to succeed doing that. He went to Sunderland, failed. He went to Spain, largely failed. He was in the footballing wilderness. He was almost seemingly unemployable, because even when he left us, he didn't walk into another job. Yeah. He was like frozen out of football. He was the man that nobody wanted. Not even our owners the first time round. So him coming back, it spoke volumes about the man himself and also our ownership. They've had to backtrack and come cap in hand going, oh, please, sir, give us another chance.
Can we have some more?
He was at last chance alone. He couldn't really turn down. Thankfully, his tenure this time round, and he slowly won me over. The way that he's gone about things. Let's not it's not just factoring on our league position at the moment, but he's bought incredibly well. He's coached. He's got assembled a coaching team everyone seems to like. Just look at the team spirit we've got. All those kind of things are building up. And if we'd finished 10th, 11th, 12th this season, I still would have been happy, because nobody expected that, anything more than that. But what he's doing, he's building a squad, he's building a side, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
If you look at what the style of play, Ancelotti did today what David Moyes has been doing to teams all season. So the style of the play aren't wholly different. I think we've got, if you look at it that way, we've got a cut price, Ancelotti. And as we know, that our board love to do things rather on the cheap. So who are we to moan that we've saved a few pennies here and there? I'm actually glad we got Moyes rather than Carlo.
Excellent. Okay, it's interesting. Pinky, talking about I'll throw this one to you. The other guys have had their say on this one. Rio, talking about Moyes, said he was effectively in the football wilderness, frozen out of football, basically, and he was somebody nobody else wanted. Did you want Ancelotti here? What do you think he would have made it at West Ham? And sort of in retrospect, are you glad that he didn't come now?
Strange, because I actually thought at the time it's more the lack of us being linked with him. I'm looking at it thinking, we're West Ham United. We're not a pub club. We're a good size, well established Premier League football club that have won trophies in our time. A pretty big one once upon a time as well. And so we're not unknowns. Okay. But it's the fact we're never linked with that kind of manager, not even in passing. And yet Everton Football Club showed the ambition, got in touch with Ancelotti's representatives and did the deal. Now, at £11 million, I touched it in commentary, you might question the motives of what Ancelotti's really gone to Everton for. that's a huge sum of money. To sort of now I could argue, well, to get me to work on Merseyside, it'd probably take a similar fee, but it's a lot of money, and there's not a chance that our chairman would ever be paying any manager that kind of salary. It's just not going to happen. And I think the other aspect to it is a manager that's won the league in 4 different European countries with different clubs going to put up with the chairman that picks players. Now Ancelotti will have come across plenty of interfering chairmen in his time in Spain and Italy. Don't mean any doubt about that. But actually, on the crucial issue of who signs the players, I suspect Ancelotti's had the final say an awful lot of the time.
Yeah.
And where he maybe hasn't had it, and I suggest at Real Madrid that might be a club where the president gets a bit of a say. The rules are known, but you might think, do you know what? I'll put up with it at Real Madrid because the president, it's a choice between signing Figo or Zidane. So, if I get both, it's great. If I only get one of them, well, fine.
We'll
it's
get
a
by.
little bit more, shall I call it, impactful at West Ham United when you're not signing Figo or Zidane, you're signing Benrahma or another. And so, for my money, disappointed that we weren't linked with him. He'd never have come anyway, and we'd never have paid the money. In terms of David Moyes' availability and the idea that no one else wanted him, I think, to be fair, that applies to an awful lot of football managers. It's a profession that most Premier League managers don't get a second go at managing a Premier League club. So if you look at the number of managers that go through the Premier League who only ever manage one Premier League club, it's a very, very long list. For David Moyes, Everton Football Club, Manchester United, and West Ham United twice, and I think Sunderland, another club, I think at the time in the Premier League. So he's got something about him. He's not a mug. And what we saw today was the great Carlo Ancelotti, winner of numerous trophies all over Europe, unlimited budgets all over Europe, has gone to Sam Allardyce's rule book today, and he's gone, right, how do you win a game of football away from home in England? That's how you do it. Okay, so, and for that match today, Ancelotti's been paid £250,000. And the Everton supporters are saying it's like watching a Sam Allardyce team. Posters on KUMB in the Forum this afternoon. You couldn't watch it. Hobo's comment was about, that's a tough watch, to watch that. And of course, what it boils down to is, as long as you win and it moves you up the table, supporters will put up with it. As soon as you stop moving up the table with that kind of football, supporters at any football club will say, we're not having that. We're better than that.
Yeah.
But today he's done the job today. I suspect quite a lot of their away wins this season have come like that, if I'm being honest. But does it matter? Supporters aren't in the ground. And if he gets them into Europe with that, will their supporters really care? I don't think so.
No, well, they've certainly had plenty of wins on the road, haven't they? 11 now, only bettered by Manchester City, who have 13 in the Premier League. So, it was... I don't know. I've got to say, I don't know how they've been playing away from home, but I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there, Pinky, in that while your team is winning, you can stomach that kind of football. But would you want to watch it every week? Well, we're seeing the answer on the grand old team forum, aren't we?
We are, but let me just spin it a bit here. A manager I praised earlier in terms of attractiveness of football, Bielsa. If you got relegated with Bielsa playing his all-out attack, would you keep him as a manager to get you out of the Championship, per se? And if you got relegated 2 seasons running, all-out attack, because you've got no defence, at what point do you say the all-out attack is not the way to go?
Well, I mean, this is an age-old argument that crops up on the KUMB forum, isn't it, on a regular basis over the years. You know, lots of people saying they just want to be entertained. We had that thread, didn't we, earlier in the season about, you know, are you being entertained? Of course, we'll all remember that one. And people not happy with the style of football, but it's got us where we are, and Everton in a similar boat. So I'm sure that that argument will rage on for as long as a football is being kicked around the field. West Ham fans, of course, we like to be entertained, but of course, as I always maintain, there's no fun in losing football matches every week. But anyway, it's an interesting debate. There is no right and wrong, and of course, it's one that will, as I say, rage on. We're coming to the end of this afternoon's transmission, and just got a couple of things I want to go. So I'm not going to go to the forums this week because I think, Rio, we know what it's going to be like on Knees Up Mother Brown on the KUMB.com forum. I'm sure everyone's going to be terribly unhappy after what they've seen. We've got a pretty good feeling for what it's going to be like on Grand Old Team because Pinky's already given us a fairly good indication of the disappointment of the victory, but the manner in which it was achieved this afternoon by Everton. But if you do want to know what the general views are from West Ham fans, get yourself over to KUMB.com, get yourself on the forum in the general discussion forum, and look for the Everton match thread. And you'll be able to find out what people are saying about that. Of course, if you want to find out what people are saying about individuals, I'm sure the David Moyes thread and the Said Ben Rama thread, to name but two, are going to be full of comments after this afternoon's game. So get yourself over there to the KUMB.com forum and join in the fun. Not much fun this afternoon, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Before we do wrap up, we're going to take our regular look ahead to our next match. That is next Saturday, the first of 3 games in 8 days that will determine where West Ham end this fascinating season. We have Southampton to come on the final day. The penultimate fixture is away at West Brom. But before that, we travel to the South Coast. Well, we don't, but the football team does because we're not allowed to. And won't be going to West Brom either, of course, after that debate this week involving the 20 Premier League clubs who decided that away fans won't be allowed in grounds until next season at the earliest. So it is to Brighton we go next week. Another one of those must-win games known for the Hammers. You said earlier that, you know, it's just a question of keep going, I think was the phrase you used. You know, however many games we've got to go and see where the season ends up. Is that how you feel about that one? And do you think it's one we really should be winning?
Yeah, I'm just thinking we got 3 points, 3 games left, which is 9 points, which would give us a potential, 67? I think we're on 58, aren't we? So what we do is we go out, we try and win all 3. That's where we end up. Other teams, well, there you go. That's what we've done. You can beat that, all well and good, but and we start on Saturday. Is it Saturday this weekend?
Saturday, yep. That game, yep.
We've got kick-off time for that one, so I'm just trying to arrange my mental file of facts. So, but
I'll tell you, it's an 8 o'clock kick-off next Saturday. So
right, okay,
another late one.
Okay, Lou, if you're watching, it's my place Friday then. Anyway, it's a game I think that they're not as organised as Everton. Brighton will not be as organised as Everton were today. I mean, what we saw today was, not my cup of tea. I'll put my hand up, but it was an exceptionally good defensive performance and how to stifle, how to keep out in opposition.
Yeah.
Brighton haven't got that in their locker from what I've seen this season. And they're also coming in on the back of, they'll be missing 2 players. They've had 2 dismissed today. I can't remember. Mopé was one.
Okay.
Who was the other one? So one was for a denial of goal scoring opportunity, the old Dogzo thing. The other one was for having a go at the ref after the whistle. So both of those straight reds. So I mean, it was the first game anyway. So however many games they're missing, those will be Those two players will be missing. And they're not great in depth, like ourselves. They're just about safe. I think it's unlikely that they'll go down. But I guess they've got that sort of slight mathematical nagging doubt at the back of the head that we only got rid of about 2 weeks ago when we did the maths ourselves. Yeah. They really are there for the taking. Now, to counter that, we've lost Lanzini, and yeah, I fear that he may not be available. Cresswell, again, he's not one to go down lightly, and clearly was, he tried to play on it, but clearly it was causing him distress. Might be a little bit of, I need to change things around here anyway, and let's save him for the last, make sure he's fit for the last 3, but still worrying. Bright side, there's a good chance that we might see Declan Rice back. I did have a slight amusing that I thought he might actually make the bench today at one point, not because of anything I had seen or heard. It's just that while I was watching the other match that was on beforehand, and they cut across to the London Stadium and showed players warming up, and Rice was down there on the pitch with the players, and I thought, ooh, and obviously, clearly he wasn't going to be available, but he has been training with the team on grass, so I think we might see something of him, which is will be a big thing for us.
Yes,
getting him back. So, I think I'm looking for 3 points next week, please.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, that's a really important point, isn't it? I mean, if indeed it's Mopé and Dunk who are missing Rio, that's 2 of Brighton's key players at opposite ends of the pitch. But of course, we haven't got the greatest record against Brighton, have we? I mean, we struggle against them year in, year out, certainly since they returned to the Premier League. And I think earlier in the season, when we played just after Christmas, wasn't it? We drew 2-2 and we had to come from behind twice to grab a point. Johnson and Souček scoring our goals on that day. It wasn't a particularly good performance from us. But that aside, Gnome's made the point very, very well that they're safe. They're not going down there, are they? I mean, they're 10 points or whatever it is clear of Fulham and West Brom, and they're still above Southampton and Burnley. But can we put this one to bed at last? Can we end this horrendous record against Hove Albion and secure those 3 points that give us a slight glimmer of remaining in the or finishing in the top 4?
Yeah, most certainly. And I fully expect us to win next week. I just feel that we won't be allowed to put in a performance like we did today. I don't think Moyes would be happy with what he saw in terms of attacking outlet and creativity. He'll get into the players' heads about that all week.
Yeah,
we'll obviously get Declan Rice back with a bit of luck. They're missing 2 key players. I just think we won't make the same mistakes that we did today. Now, it's going to be a difficult proposition. Being away from home, it affords us a little bit more time and space normally. Now, we can always hit on the break a little bit more. It gives us another option. And dare I say it, one of our tools at our disposal, the set-piece goal, it's been long overdue for someone who's so prolific at it. We haven't had one for about 2 months now.
No, we're
going to get one of them next week. If not 2, if not 3. I'm going to call it now. If we get them back in the side, it'd be Rice, Ogbonna and Souček, all from set pieces next week. We're going to win 3-0.
There you go. You heard it here first. Rio predicting a 3-0 win for the Hammers, all from set pieces. We're still leading that particular chart, aren't we? I think, or I think wasn't it 4 or 5 teams that scored 9, wasn't it? Us and Everton and Man City and someone else I didn't see in that caption that Gnome always looks for in the.
It was a slightly changed caption this week because it normally comes up to set piece goals, but this time it was goals from corners, so they'd narrowed it down. So I think weren't we in double figures for set pieces? You count all set pieces.
I think you're right. It was 11 or something, wasn't
Next
it? Yeah.
week they come
So
up with goals from scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. We'll end up with next thing. We'll end up with the expected set pieces. How many free kicks you ought to have got, or were expecting to get?
I'm glad you mentioned that actually, Gnome, because I've got a statistic for you.
I knew I thought we were going to get away with it this week.
Thank you for the reminder. West Ham's expected goals today 1.31, Everton's 1.54. So nothing in it in terms of the expected goals. Gnome's favourite statistic that he always looks out for every week.
And avoids.
and avoids if you possibly can. Pinky, Brighton, the Goldstone Ground, the Withdean Stadium. Not sure where they play. Where are they now? What's the totally
The
forgotten.
The Amex.
The Amex at Falmouth.
The Amex, of course. Not the Falmouth, the Goldstone.
Yeah.
The Amex, of course. Lovely ground these days, but
It's
struggling a bit.
Away ground. It's my least favourite away ground.
Your least favourite? Why is that?
Nowhere to park. It's on a university campus, and it's just murder. It's just murder. A midweek game there. You get out full time.
Yeah.
You'll queue for 45 minutes for an hour to get on a bus to drag you 3 or 4 miles into town or off to the race course to pick your motor up and all the rest of it. It's an utter pain in the backside. And with all due respect to Kieran Maguire, who we had on a podcast a month or two back,
yes, big Albion fan.
I wouldn't miss Brighton and Hove Albion in the top flight for that reason and that reason alone. Nothing to do with their football or anything like that. It's a crap out of town stadium with no infrastructure to move 25,000 people in and out in double quick time. Stop if it sounds familiar to a stadium near us. But in terms of the game next week, because I think Burnley will beat Fulham tomorrow night, which will guarantee Brighton as being safe. And I think as soon as Burnley win tomorrow night, then the Brighton's players will be, let's open up a bottle of shampoo, lads, and have a bit of a party, and they'll just take the foot off the gas for 2 or 3%, and that's the difference. The key for me is if David Moyes can actually get it into our players' heads, we can still finish, in a good, strong position this season. Have the best season you're going to have, lads. Make sure you don't let yourself down at the death. And 3 wins on the spin now, and we'll be finishing 5th or 4th. Yeah. And if Moyes can get the positive message into the players' heads, backed up by maybe Declan coming back and saying, there you go, we've got some reinforcements. Maybe Ogbonna, who was on the bench today, maybe get him back so we don't give away the cheap goal that we gave away today. Then, I think we've got enough for Brighton. And then, the last couple of games, Saints will be well on the beach for the last game of the season. And West Brom, if their game this evening finishes the way it currently is, they're already in Division 2. So for my money, we can finish the season strongly, and that means, beating Brighton. The 2 sendings off they had today, thoroughly unprofessional, the second one, no question about it. And Harry Potter down there will be absolutely livid, because losing, your star centre-back, who, by the way, I think we should make a cheeky bid for in the summer, is bad enough. But to lose a second player for what is dissent is criminal. You're still not safe from relegation, and players are getting themselves sent off for not being able to control their gob.
Yeah.
That'd be a 2-week fine straight away.
Yeah.
Potter would be going bananas about that this evening. So I think we'll beat them. And we're still in with a shout.
Okay, good stuff. Optimism all round then for next week. Sorry, no.
Do you think Mopé might have been doing the Nolan Christmas break trick? Only went to go on his holidays a week or 2 early. Nolan always used to get booked.
And Pepe's just scored a second for Arsenal, by the way.
All right.
But the second player on my transfer target list for this summer, Smith Rowe at Arsenal, one of their bright up-and-coming stars, and one of the things I'm looking forward to and want to see from West Ham. Let's start targeting players who we wouldn't normally be associated with and show some ambition. Does it have to be a foreign player none of us have heard of, or can we actually look at some of the bright up-and-coming players in English football and say, do you know what, we'll have a bit of you, Smith Rowe, because you've got something about you at Arsenal, and start putting the knife into one or two of these clubs that do it to us with monotonous regularity.
Okay,
it's not a bad finish from Pepe there, is it?
No, Pepe, good strike that.
Finally coming good for his £72 million. I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, Pinky, because we are going to wrap up now. We're going to call it a day there, but I did ask the team for questions, and Mark Richardson has been kind enough to put one to us. So I'd like to get a very, very, very quick answer from you all, if we can, before you go. Pinky's just given us our answer on this one, because Mark asks, who's the striker? We could say who is the player, not necessarily striker, but who is the striker you would like us to go out and sign in the summer? In no more than 30 seconds, Rio, over to you. Putting you on the spot there.
Yeah. I'm stumped. I've got so many on my list, it's hard to narrow it down. But I wouldn't mind seeing us go, if we're going to go for a lower level player, bit hungry, bit something to prove, then Ivan Toney.
Do you think we could get him? Do you think he's attainable?
I think he is. I think definitely. The only thing that might put us off is the 35 million alleged asking price.
Yeah,
there's a few European options. I'm quite keen on as well.
Go on then, quickly chuck them in. Let's hear them.
Oh, no, because I like other clubs. There's a couple of French players playing in the French league.
Yeah,
we've got very similar to Antonio.
Yeah,
who really would fit the bill. We need powerful, strong runners who are going to work their nuts off. And a couple in France are doing just that.
Okay, good stuff. Ivan Toney, says Rio. 31 goals in the Championship for Brentford this season. Could be playing in the Premier League anyway. If the Bees manage to make it through the playoffs, who knows? But Gnome, who would you like to see David Moyes sign in the summer? What striker?
I don't know. It's not one I've given an awful lot of thought, given that the second that the transfer window shut, I knew we weren't getting a striker in, so I stopped thinking about it. I just didn't want to depress myself. Calvert-Lewin finished well today. Let's stick a cheeky bid in for him. No chance of getting him, obviously, but it's something. Sorry, Mark. He's asked the question, and it's something, one of those ones I'd like to have a think about, sort of thing, and do the research on. Right. I mean, Tony's getting good write-ups. I've not seen enough of him to comment, but I'm just thinking I'm a bit wary of doing business with Brentford, because we got Ben Rama, who's all the best one in the world, hasn't really pulled up any trees. We were linked a couple of seasons ago. What was the player? Scott
Hogan.
Went to Villa.
Oh, the other Brentford striker, you mean?
Yeah, who was scoring goals.
Watkins, Ollie Watkins.
Went to Villa and probably disappeared. Armfield.
Oh, no. Don't know.
Yeah, went to Villa basically and disappeared off the face of the earth. So I've got Brentford have got this have this system that they have about their recruiting system, and it's all about sort of timing, and they know when to sell a player, and you sell a player kind of at his peak, and then watch him go down another club. And I've just got a funny feeling that with Tony, he was never really impressed up at Newcastle, and he's doing all right now. I'll fully admit the research has not been done in this house on that one. So sorry, Mark.
No worries. We did sort of thrust that one upon you rather quickly. But I mean, Pinky, you've already given us Smith Rowe at Arsenal. Anyone else
Well, if we look at strikers, there's two. Okay, and I'm in the market for no risk, guaranteed, dead certs, sort of area. Edison Cavani's out of contract at Manchester United at the end of the season. I would break the bank in terms of salary. I would pay him huge money to come and play at West Ham for a season, and just say you're only getting a 1-year deal, but here's more money than you could ever imagine at your age. So he'd be one that I target because there's no transfer fee involved.
Yeah.
And the other one, which is people will laugh at, but given the state of Real Madrid's finances, I would make a cheeky bid for Karim Benzema from Real Madrid and say, do you know what? Here's a 3-year deal, son. Come and finish your career in the Premier League and have a go. And if we got into the Champions League, either of those signings become a damn sight easier. And that's why it's really important we keep running every single minute of every game left.
Yeah.
So I don't think either of them will happen, because Benzema would go, West who? Yeah. And Cavani, I suspect somebody with more money than West Ham United are going to say, here's a huge sum of money to keep going for a year. But they are two players who 100% know the job. And I think more than anything, if we're looking for a striker, I want proven, copper-bottomed, gold standard, no gambles. They can score goals and spend the money. Yeah. And whether that's in terms of salary or a transfer fee, whatever it may be. Yeah. Haller was a gamble. It failed because he'd never played in this league before. Yeah. Benzema, you could say, well, he's not played here. Would you take the chance? Yes, I would. I absolutely would. So there you go. Long shots, but if you don't ask, if you don't pick the phone up, you never know.
No, good stuff. So that's some good suggestions there. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for the question as well. No, you want to come in quickly there?
Just a sort of an update. I've remembered the player that I was thinking of, Scott Hogan.
Scott Hogan.
Yeah, who was scoring goals for fun at Brentford, and we were getting linked, and I think we all had. I think he was watched back in 2017 quite closely, and it was decided that that he might not be up to the standard. Villa bought him. He played 56 league games, managed to get 7 goals in those 56. Spent a lot of time out between 2019 2020 on loan, notably to Birmingham City, who he made the deal last year permanent with Birmingham. So that's how much Villa rated him. They flogged him to Birmingham. So
yeah.
And it's just, Southampton do the same sort of thing. The Portuguese lad we signed as a defender, they worked out that was precisely the time to sell him. He played for us for about half a season and called it a day, didn't he?
Well, to be fair, I think he called it a day after he was slagged off by the Sullivan lads, wasn't he? Jose Fonte, I assume you're referring to.
Fonte, that was it. Yeah.
Ings Southampton, and I would take a punt on Woods from Burnley. Seriously, and you're thinking, I'm going from Cavani to Woods. What I want is a player that knows the job, because we've had 2 seasons now without them.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Good stuff. It's for the record, Edison Cavani was 34 in February, so probably got another year or two. One of the best strikers out there. Why not? Who knows? It'd be a very West Ham-esque thing to do, wouldn't it? To take a punt. What about there is actually a former West Ham fan who's coming back to the Premier League next year, just been promoted. A young lad called Jordan Hugill. No, I didn't think so.
I mean, bless him. I don't know what that signing was all about, but
you made a point for me.
Yeah, it was. Let's put it this way. No.
Okay, Rio. No, don't fancy a return for Jordan.
We played a friendly over Dagenham just down the road from me.
We did.
And on a really cold, wet Tuesday night.
It was.
And Jordan was the worst player on the pitch.
He was.
So, no, thank you.
I seem to recall him missing a sitter from about 3 yards, didn't he? Right in front of us in the away end that night. But yeah, it didn't really. Pinky, you don't fancy a Hugh Gill return? No, can't.
No, it's just my whole point. You know, long shots from the Championship. You know, yeah, great if they work, but they don't. And you need, you know, at the business end of the pitch, you need proven quality, experience, capability, whatever it may be. You need someone who's just got it. Yeah. And Hugo, bless him, will have a great career in the Championship. I mean, not being funny. I mean, it's not the worst job in the world, probably picking up 30, 40 grand a week, you know, for playing football. You know, I mean, it's easy to dismiss it, but you know, he's having a good footballing career, but he's not Premier League standard. And you need players who, when they get one chance, 8 yards out, a clean header, yeah, hit the target. Because if we had that today, we'd have got a point today, not no points. And that's the difference. And you know, I'm sick of hearing our chairman tell us we haven't got any money. Well, do your job, David Sullivan and Karen Brady, do your job. Go get some money. Go find some. Because do you know what? Mikel Arteta here at Arsenal, he's going to be going to Stan Kroenke and say, you need to give me some money. You know, whoever's managing Tottenham next year is going to go to Daniel Levy and say, find me some money. Carlo Ancelotti is going to go to the Everton chairman and say, find me some money. So why is the West Ham United manager the only manager who's expected to manage with no money? I don't get it. And why, as supporters, do we put up with it? I don't get it.
Well,
rant over, as the saying goes.
And what a perfect time to end today's show. That's it from us. Mark's asked for my answer. I don't know. I'm the worst person to ask. I think there's some merit in Pinky's suggestion of Woods. I mean, you know, traditional old-fashioned forward kind of player that we like at West Ham. Why not? Why not? He knows where the goal is. Ivan Toney, again, you know, he's 31 goals, whatever level, can't really be sniffed at. It's, you know, he certainly knows where the goal is. I like the look of the young lad at Sparta, Hlozek, but again, I think he's only 18, 19, so probably a bit young to be a starter. But anyone who knows where the goal is and anyone who's got two decent hamstrings that will last the whole season, I'd be quite happy with that. But just some backup really for Michail Antonio. So there you go. I hope that's sated your curiosity anyway, and we've given you some food for thought there. But anyway, that, as I said, that is it for today's show. West Ham United 0, Everton 1. Disappointing. A third defeat in 4 Premier League games for West Ham as the Champions League hopes diminish even further. But it's not over yet. Shall I ask the question? Let's ask the question. I'm not going to ask Gnome because he's not going to answer anyway. Very quickly, gentlemen. Pinky, Champions League, yes or no?
Yes.
Rio, Champions League, yes or no?
No.
Graham, Champions League, yes or no? Yes. Gnome, do you want to go?
No, I'm not playing that game.
Gnome's refusing to join in. He's taking his ball away.
I think I've made my position on this question very, very clear in the past.
I think you have. But there you go. There it is. So that's it for today. Thank you to everyone for joining us on the live stream. Thank you to my fellow teammates here, to the Pink Palermo, to Rio, and to Gnome.
No.
And we shall see you again next Saturday as West Ham travel to the South Coast without our supporters for, in Pinky's words, the worst away game of the season. Down the A23 to Brighton, down to the coast. 3 games in 9 days. Brighton, West Brom, Southampton. Who knows where we're going to end up? Who knows how it's going to finish this incredible season? Well, we're going to find out soon enough, aren't we? Until then, till next Saturday, that's it from us. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for your company. Come on, you Irons.
Oh.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you Irons.